Hey, this is Brian Wheat from Tesla, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Hey, man, what's happening?
How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Upstate New York?
No, I'm actually in Florida.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's
Away
too
from
cold in upstate New York right now, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of staying a little warmer.
Yeah, I used to live in St. Pete and I miss it when I'm in Richmond now and it's 13 degrees or something and I miss those days.
Yeah. What, the 13 degrees? You miss
No,
them?
no, no, the Florida days. I miss
Oh.
being February and it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I was swimming 2 days ago, so.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know we didn't come and talk about that. Let's talk about Tesla and All About Love. How the heck did that come about with the
It
three
was,
different versions on it?
well, it was a song that I think Frank had a piece of music, and Jeff went over to Frank's house and they worked on a little demo of it. And then we got together and we worked on it at a sound check a few times. And then, unlike most every other song we ever put out, we played this for about 8 months live before we ever put out a recorded version.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So people were hearing it live in our shows a lot.
Did it have a chance to change and morph then as you played it nightly before you committed it to tape or record or whatever?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Kind of went through a few little changes and stuff, which are cool. I mean, so basically we got to do what you would call pre-production, live in front of 2,000 people a night.
Right. So the song, I mean, like we said, you have the three different versions on it, which I'm interested in, but also the song itself has that classic. I'm a huge Tesla fan, and that's got that huge classic, almost timeless sound. I know you guys kind of got lumped into sort of the 80s, early 90s, but it was so different. And I think that
Yeah, I
carries on
mean,
now, right?
I tell people when they ask about that, I said it sounds like a classic Tesla song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does, and I think uh we got a little bit of backlash from when we did the record with Phil Collin, even though I'll still stand behind it and say I think there's some great moments on it. And it was something we wanted to try because we always try all kinds of things. Listen, for every person I've heard say they absolutely hate it, I've had to tell me they love it. So
Right.
that was probably the most polarized record we ever made, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and then we put out a couple singles, which were straight up rock singles in the last 2 years. And then this was, it just, as soon as we heard the demo, we said, that sounds like a classic Tesla song.
Yeah.
Uh,
So does that sort of come naturally because it's been so long, or do you think about like, you were talking about the last record being, or that record being a bit different. Did you decide to, hey, we're going to go back to that classic sound, or is that how it
yeah,
evolved? Or
yeah. We made a conscious effort to uh, go back to our classic sound. Listen, no one likes your fans arguing over,
fair?
so I don't care who you are, if you're Def Leppard or you're Aerosmith or you're Led Zeppelin or you're the Beatles, or Metallica, I mean, I guess that's a perfect example. I mean, with the Black Album, people say they went on to, they commercialized or whatever, but
Right.
they sold 25 million copies.
Right.
So,
And
so
change the game.
yeah, and changed the game for everyone in the genre. So, are they now doing more of what you might have first heard when you were into Metallica? Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it's just listen, we never think too much about these things, to be quite honest with you. We don't. We just wherever we are at that time is what we kind of do. And if it seems like a good idea, we do it. And a lot of times it works and sometimes it doesn't. But there's nothing in our career that I'm embarrassed about except the song Games People Play that was on Bust a Nut, because we were kind of forced to do that by our record company
Oh, really?
and management, and it's not something that we would have done. So, I mean, that's a pretty good record that at all those whatever 14 albums we made or however many fucking albums we made, I don't know,
Right.
someone there's only one song that I'm embarrassed of.
And that's pretty amazing, right? Because that's a lot of songs and a lot of time.
Yeah, that's 40 years and I don't know how many studio records we made. Someone would have to count them, but I think it's probably 10 or 12, something like that. So 12 times that's 144 songs, right? At
Right.
least.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
you
You ever
only
think,
you only don't like one. That's pretty
right.
good, right?
You ever think you'd still be doing it all these years? You just talked about being in it 40 years or more.
No. In the beginning, absolutely not. Um, about 10 years ago, I had hoped we'd still be
Right.
doing it. Um, because it just comes down to now how long, the big question, how long do you think is left? And I answer that with as long as Jeff Keith can sing to the level he sings that we take pride in, that we sound really good live, and he's one of those singers that still is able to sing, and we're not a band that's out there with a singer that really can't
Right.
sing, or we're rolling you know computer tapes or whatever.
Right.
As long as we're able to perform to the level that we feel is credible, and we're not bullshitting anybody,
Right.
then we'll keep going. And I don't know how long that is. You know what I mean? I mean, I had Jeff here last week singing a song for a new thing we're doing in Tesla, and his voice, I don't think, has ever sounded better. So,
Right.
go figure. I don't know. You know what I mean?
What do you think's been the secret sauce to keep you guys together? Because 99% of the people that made it through those decades did not, or not still around,
Well,
or they're around in half-assed forms.
I think common goal, mutual respect for each other, right? And a brotherly love that's there between us and the fans. If we were putting shows on sale and no one came, we might say, well, what are we doing this for? But people still want to see the band play, and we feed off that. And there is a definite brotherhood between us all, even
And
though
the
two,
shows, and the
even,
shows must be. Go ahead. Sorry.
even though two of the original guys aren't in the band. They're
Right.
still brothers. They're still, part of that family, and we still communicate and stuff. So it is kind of like a family, I mean, there's lots of things that keep us together. Things that don't drive us apart anymore are drugs and alcohol, which
Right.
that did in 95. We were just fucked up out of our minds and tired, and no one really had the insight to sit us down and say, maybe you should just take a little break, and maybe you go to rehab or you do this, or
Right.
you be a fucking psychiatrist. So, fast forward, that was in 95, what, over 25 years later,
So
30.
30. Yeah. 30. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been back together for 25 years because we got back together in
Right.
2000. And you know, we're still, as committed as we've ever been.
I've been to a few Tesla shows over the years, and one thing I think is really cool, and you see that with some bands, but not with all, is the multi-generational sort of thing, right? You've got me, sort of nostalgic, sort of still really dig it, bringing my kids and probably even grandkids at 40 years now, right?
Yeah, yeah, I see dudes that are or people, dudes, chicks, human beings, whatever, yeah,
Right.
that are as old as my oldest brother, who's 75,
Hmm.
right, who was into Tesla, and then people my age, I'm 62, then their kids who are like in the 30s, and their kids who are teenagers.
Yeah.
So you see four generations of people, and the coolest thing is when you see like an 8-year-old kid in the front singing all the lyrics, and you go, man, how does he or she know those? And I talk to them. They say, well, my mom and dad play me your stuff, and I love it. And then they'll say, "What's your favorite song?" They'll say "Love Song," or they'll say,
Right.
it varies. But to hear that from a kid before he's even 10 years old, or he or she, got to be careful what you say these days, right?
Yeah.
You can't leave anyone out or call anybody something they don't want to be called. But I say he in a general sense, not in
Right.
the fact that it's male, but uh, the fan, a young fan like that, it's a trip. It's pretty mind blowing.
Yes. Yeah, and it's amazing probably to sit back and think, you've made a difference or you touched somebody or your music has been the soundtrack to a lot of my life for sure. Like I think it
Yeah,
was in high school when I picked it up and it's always been there.
yeah. No, I
And
know.
that live album changed the game too.
Well, yeah, that definitely changed the game because um, I think it's the one record that when they write a couple lines about us and when the book's all written, if they put a couple lines about Tesla, because that's always been kind of a thing, if they are. But if they do talk about Tesla, I think they'll talk about the acoustic live album.
Yeah. What
And
about the think big? What about the Hall of Fame?
I don't think about it. I don't think we'll be in there. And pretty soon there's going to be more bands in there than aren't in there.
I guess.
It's not really becoming this exclusive cool thing anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone's in there, and bands that aren't even rock bands are in there. So I don't know. I don't really listen. It doesn't matter. What matters to me is that we still have fans that come and see us play, and we're doing
Yeah.
it 40 years later. That's to
Right.
me, that's the badge of success, not if you're in the fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Fair enough. So then just two more then. How do you decide what a plate or a running order is going to be for this kind of tour when you're picking from 14 albums?
That's tough. I mean, there are certain songs that have to be in the set, right? Like you
Right.
ain't playing a set and not playing Susie and Signs and Love Song. And sometimes we do not do what you give. There have been a few times, but we do Cowboy always.
No
There's
way
certain
out.
that are, no way out. That's all, that are always in there. And then there's all these other songs that we rotate in and out. But Frank pretty much is the czar of the set list. And I don't envy that job. It's
Right.
just he between what tuning we're playing in, what key we're playing in, what song Jeff can sing depending on what day, how his voice feels.
Mhm.
All those things come into consideration when he makes that set list.
Interesting. And that's all I've got. I guess you've got the tour coming up. You guys, do you do anything to prepare at this age for it or kind of just do what you've been doing?
Well, obviously shaving isn't one of them. That'll go. I leave Friday or Thursday. Our first show's Friday, so I'll have to, dye my hair and trim up my gruff here. But I've been off for like close to 2 months, and I messed up my Achilles a little bit, so I've been kind of recuperating that. Uh, I'm always on some kind of diet or something or training, but do I do anything special? Not really. I mean, it's time because 2 months is a long time to be away,
Yeah.
and it's like when you're out there for 2 months straight, you want to go home. When you're home for 2 months straight, you want to go back out there.
Right.
So and that never changes.
Brian, I hope that wasn't too bad.
No, that was, what? That was one of the painlessest one I've ever done.
Good. I try and make them a little bit different, more casual conversation and see where they go. And I
Yeah.
am a longtime fan. Definitely
Well,
had, albums
thank
from the
you.
beginning. So thank you for your contributions
What's
to the
your
music
favorite
business.
album?
I like the first one. I
Yeah.
really like the first one.
Yeah.
Those first couple, I think No Way Out and Little Susie's in my, regular playlist that's always playing, as it rotates through the day or whatever of favorites. And I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
And I
No.
think I saw you big shows. I think I saw you open Def Leppard.
Oh,
Did you get?
yes. Several times.
Yeah, I saw a few of those, and then I've seen you solo somewhere along
Yeah.
the way. Did you ever
Well,
play Lemoore
where?
in Lemoore in Brooklyn?
L'Amour's?
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay.
No, we did the Ritz. We did an acoustic show at the Ritz.
Yeah.
But as far as clubs and like, L'Amour's and all that, we didn't do that. I mean, because when we came out, we started with David Lee Roth, and our second gig was at the Meadowlands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's trial by fire, right? Just jump
Yeah,
right in.
they just said, "Here you go, boys. Sink or swim." And we started swimming. We started paddling like a motherfucker.
So I know I said it was the last one, but now I just want to ask you one
That's
more.
all right.
What was that like? Because at that time Dave was at his peak, right? That was post Van Halen.
Eat 'em and smile.
Yeah, yeah. So what was that even like getting out there? I mean, sharing the same stage with like Steve Vai and Dave. Crazy, right?
Fucking trip, dude. I mean, we're, early 20s. Frank, I don't even think was 20 yet. And, our second gigs in the Meadowlands, and it's like 18,000 people sold out. And, this giant 100-foot stage and all these lights and all these people. And it was fucking mind blowing.
I imagine it was crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
it really was like, hey man, the first night was New Haven, Connecticut. That was the first place we ever played as Tesla. Before we made our first record, we were called City Kid, and we used to play like a 500-seat club in Sacramento, where we're from.
Mhm.
And we used to do like 2 nights every 6 weeks, and they were 90-minute sets, and they were our original set. And a lot of bands weren't doing that. They were doing that in Los Angeles, but not in
Right.
Sacramento. So I think that helped us a little bit because we actually knew how to do a show of our own material. And, it wasn't like we were doing 5 sets a night playing covers mixed in with some originals. It was like we did it in a concert kind of format. And I think that helped us. But I mean, the stage was very small, and you're playing to 500 people. And the first gig you're playing to, 10, 12,000 people in Hartford, oh no, New Haven, and it was a hockey arena, and
Mhm.
you got this massive stage, and they're like, "Go for it, boys!"
Wow.
And we just went out there and said, "Hey, we're Tesla." And people were starting to know what modern day cowboy was because MTV was starting to play it, and
Right.
radio was starting to play it, and then it just took off like wildfire.
And I know you asked me earlier what my favorite Tesla record was, and I said the earlier ones, but I think I was honest when I said that acoustic from Philly was definitely a game changer. Because I don't think many people were doing that acoustic thing, right? Weren't you like the predecessors to
Well,
almost the MTV thing?
well, we really what we were the first at is we were the first rock band to have an all live acoustic album. And
Because if I'm correct, didn't MTV do that right after, like with the
well,
Unplugged?
they were doing it before.
They were?
Yeah, yeah. We didn't start the acoustic unplugged movement, but we made the first live acoustic album, all
Right.
live, all acoustic and just acoustic, like
Right.
that. We were first in, but we didn't start the movement or the trend. We were just kind of like their poster child after that, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was
Yeah,
great. So I
yeah.
have to add that to the favorites because that is even to this day, that's a great, even your version of Signs, which I know got so overplayed everywhere, but that's great.
People ask me if I get tired of playing. Fuck no, I never get tired of playing that song. And I don't care that it's not our song. Little Susie's not our song.
No. Yeah.
I mean, to the people out there, it is our song. I
Oh,
think
yeah. 100%.
Urban actually did better than the original. So
Yes, I agree.
um,
It's got
we
more punk, more attitude to it.
we didn't write it, but we owned it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So nah, it was cool. I mean, I like that album. I like that album for a lot of reasons because it really, I think, showcases the musicianship the band has. Like, like you said, there were other bands that maybe the emphasis was more their stage show or their appearance. And the
Yeah.
only thing we ever really had, because we didn't have much of a stage show and appearance, we weren't the best looking guys or the prettiest guys or whatever, was we always had this musicianship
And
and
some grit.
grit and a great honest singer, right?
Right.
And I think that record really kind of brought that point home.
Yeah, I 100%
Still
agree.
does, you know what I mean? And still does. And
Excellent.
we still hold ourselves to the same standards we did then.
Right. That's how
We
you
haven't
said you know
gotten
when it's time to
lazy.
go. Right.
Yeah, we haven't gotten lazy. It's like, hey, if we can't play this, then maybe it's time to, you know, go
Right.
go
Exit
relax.
stage left. Yeah.
Yeah, gracefully.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Brian,
Yeah.
I could talk all day. It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Hey, man, it's been a thrill. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for everything. And hopefully I'll see you on this run.
Yeah, man, come and see us.
All right. Cheers. Bye.